If you work in data and you're trying to advance your career, you need to have some kind of a personal brand. It's the most effective way to differentiate yourself in today's tough market. In this video, you're going to learn how you can build a personal brand from two of the best in the biz, Strachnyi and Andreas Kretz. They're going to walk you through why having a personal brand is so important right now, and they're going to talk you through how you can actually get started today. The nice thing is it's a lot less intimidating than you think it is. Little tiny tweaks can go an amazingly long way. They are so good at this, and they're going to give you all of the info you need to take action for yourself and help your career. Check out this video. Hope you'll enjoy it, and let us know what you think in the comments. Maybe if we could ground the conversation in just what is a personal brand? What does that mean to you in the context of building a career?
Yeah, of course. To me, when people ask, and I do get this question quite a lot, like, what is a personal brand? I think a very short answer to that is what people think about you or what people say about you, especially when you're not here, right? If you're not in the room, there are 20 people in the room, you leave and they're like, John has got that, the Maven analytics guy. Like, he talks about educating and data careers and stuff like that. Or, Andreas leaves the room. Oh yeah, the data engineering guy, right? So it's sort of like, what are the lingering thoughts that people have? Hopefully, the good stuff. It's so important these days to have that personal brand because there's just so much going on every day, just so much more content, other social media platforms, just like noise coming at you from every corner. And having that personal brand, the more distinct, the more different, the better, obviously. It just helps you stand out.
Yeah.
I think one thing we should mention in this is not everybody needs to become an influencer for this, right? This is not the personal brand equals influencer. This is also for the totally normal professional for your day-to-day work. Very, very helpful.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just saw something from Albert Bellamy that said, when Andreas leaves the room, we all make fun of his accent. I had to call that out. That's just funny. We do not, by the way.
As a German, I don't care.
Might just be jealous because he sounds pretty smart. I don't know. Andreas, I'd love to hear your take. Today in 2024 and beyond, is a personal brand as important as it ever was? Is it like more important? Like, where do you think that fits in things that somebody building a data career should care about today?
Yeah. I think it has been important, and it's becoming more important by the day. Recently, I started doing basically recruiting work, helping students get a job. And when you look, for instance, on LinkedIn, when you look at the job section and you search, and then you see how many people applied to jobs, 400 people, 500 people, right? So you need to find a way to stand out. Maybe not for today, maybe not for tomorrow, but let's say in a year you want to make a job change. It's going to be super important. And I think that is something that everybody needs to do, and you can start small, but I think how to start, we're going to get to that in a minute. But yeah, I think it's super important and everybody should do it.
Yeah. Kate, same page?
Oh, absolutely. Same page, same book, same library, man. It's becoming more important by the day, not only by the year. Again, like, things change at such a fast pace, and the jobs that Andreas was just mentioning, they're getting more and more competitive because people are gaining those skills. They're using the right tools to level up, but sometimes it's hard to differentiate. If you've got 100 similar profiles coming at you as a hiring manager, you need some sort of way to decide which one do I want on my team, which one do I want to even vet, for an interview, and then at that interview again, like, if you've got a personal brand where you're recognizable, you sort of can actually avoid all that. You can even avoid the job application process altogether, which could turn into, this black hole when you start applying and sending your resumes out. Because if you've got a strong personal brand and you're known for this really good thing that's really in demand, you become a magnet. People sort of start to come to you and say, hey, Andreas, do you need a job? And I personally, we can get into this as well, but I've gotten so many opportunities just by posting content about data visualization, data analytics, AI. And especially when I just started out, I was nowhere near an expert. I was very much a beginner when I started posting. and I attracted all of these different kinds of great opportunities without actually trying.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think from a standpoint, or let me tell you a quick story, like how I actually got to start with this, right? Because people always think you start building your personal brand and you make a plan. I started doing this out of fun. I didn't plan to do or create a personal brand, but one thing that sticked with me is I was in an interview where we interviewed a data scientist from another company, a large car manufacturer, and what he said was, if I leave my old company, I basically lose all my reputation if I join you, right? Because nobody knows me here, everybody knows me. There, nobody knows me. And I think that is something that always stick with me. Like, and that's also why I started it out of fun, but also I want not to lose everything if I change jobs, if I want to do something different. And that is, I think that is a very valuable thing to have, to post about what you know, just like Kate said, post what you know and get known in your area. Find other people that do the same thing, because through that, there are going to be opportunities coming up. That's
Exactly.
totally natural.
Yeah, no one can take this from you. You build it, you take it with you, and no one can steal it from you when you're done.
Yeah. And it's, Kate, you mentioned, excuse me, you mentioned the dynamic of when you're looking for a job, how it really changes things. And I'll just share an anecdote from Maven. We had Lauren, who is now on the Maven team. We were hiring for a SQL teaching assistant, and somebody mentioned to me, they're like, hey, I saw that Lauren just submitted an application. I go, oh, I know Lauren from LinkedIn. She posts about SQL and about other things. I was like, she would be perfect. She was the first person we interviewed. I knew she would be great. And we didn't interview anybody else for that whole thing. And it was all because I had gotten to know her there. Like, she lived in a different city, different company that I had never heard of where she was working. Like, I would not have known her if she wasn't doing that. And she literally jumped to the front of the pack of probably over 100 job applicants.
Wow.
So that's just a real concrete example of it. Andreas, I'd love to, I actually want to get both of your takes on this, but maybe start with you. What does it look like when somebody is doing a really good job of having a personal brand for their career? Like,
I think a bit like Kate already said it, like stick with something and become good at something, and talk about the one thing. Like, find your niche, what you do, what you know, and then a good person, like, or somebody who's doing this well, you're going to see that they're posting regularly. It's not like you 1 month and then another month is completely silent, and then like you're going to be sharing your ideas, sharing your thoughts, and also going to other people and comment on their stuff, and put in always like interesting thoughts, not just like, hey, yeah, that's great, and so on, but like try to add your thought so that people can actually then react to it again.
Hey, yeah, that's great, Andreas. No, I'm kidding. I think another good way to determine if you have a strong personal brand is to go to, and again, this doesn't only relate to people posting online, right? This could be internally at a company. If you go to 10 different people who know you at some level and say, hey, what are the 3 things you think I'm good at? Or what are the 3 things that come to mind when you think of me or my name or whatever? If at least one thing sort of is in common from all of those 10 people, you can sort of get a sense of, if they're all saying something different, like one says spreadsheets, the other one says PowerPoint, the next one says Tableau, you're probably not doing a great job at being good at that one thing. Or maybe you're just good at everything and that's your brand. But the point is, ask as many people as you can and see if they're all sort of agreeing that, this is the thing that you're known for.
Yep. Yeah.
Also, this, like, they can answer different things, but most likely it will be in an area, right?
Yeah.
It will be,
if you're doing a good job.
Yeah. If you're doing a good job,
Yep, exactly. Yeah, yes, kind of on a theme, so it's pretty consistent. I think is a really good piece of advice. Albert, who has a resume session about an hour and 45 minutes from now, has a great comment in here. Don't be afraid to try different things. Worst case is you can delete something that you put out there. And one of the things that I found when I started doing posting content out there is I thought it would be more embarrassing if I did something bad, but what I found is if I did something that people didn't like or, maybe didn't find value in, just that what happens is nobody sees it. It gets like 10 impressions. So your embarrassments are small scale, and then your wins are really big scale. So that's another reason to like not be scared of this. It's rarely large scale embarrassment, and you'll get over that pretty quickly.
That's true. I have that with some of my coaching students. I always say to them, like, it's okay, start posting, start writing stuff. And some people are afraid of it. And just like you said, like, what happens if I do something wrong? What happens if my article is not good? Forget about it. Post it. And if it's not good, do the next one. And then you learn throughout, and take it as a journey and not try to be perfect in the beginning.
Yeah, I think most people are actually afraid of this, Andreas. It's not just some. I think if I asked 100 people, only 3 or 4 would say, yeah, I'm comfortable posting on a regular basis. And it's driven by so many different fears and limiting mindsets where you think maybe, I don't know enough. I'm not an expert. Why would I post about data engineering if Andreas is posting about data engineering and he's such an expert? What do I know, right? But to those people, I just want to say that you should do it anyways, because you have a very unique and different perspective. And, sharing the perspective of where you are in your journey, even if it's literally this is the first session that you're joining ever related to data and you want to start a data brand, post about this session. What did you learn? Post about that. And it's sort of an easier way to break into it when you're talking about where you are and being true to yourself and your real life experiences versus trying to come off as this like really serious expert who knows everything. Yeah.
One thing, we're not as serious. So no, I think that is a very good point. Like, people try to make this perfect. People try to come over as like, I'm the expert. I'm doing these large articles teaching you this and that and that. Start very simple, and like, if you have a thought that is on that topic, just share that thought. Just start small.
Yeah, one thing that I've seen along this theme of that you don't have to be the expert, I've seen people kind of take the learner persona instead of the expert persona, and they're saying, hey, I'm learning how to build a dashboard. I'm learning how to do some data pipeline stuff. And they're not trying to flex as like they're the smartest person out there. They're just showing their journey. And the funny thing is like, that's a very endearing persona to get to know. And, if you get to know that person over the course of 6 months, a year, they've been working on these things. They've got some skills. You feel like this is a person that is putting in the effort. That person tends to rank pretty highly.
Of people who are hiring, I've heard a bunch of stories of people who've done just that, and it's worked out for them.
That's John. That's
something went wrong with your microphone. I think the microphone switched to another microphone.
Yeah, it did. It definitely did switch. I could still hear you.
How about now? Can you guys hear me or no?
I can, but your mic turned off. Like, it's something else picked up.
All right, I'll figure it out.
Well, you figured
quickly.
That out. Go ahead.
Let's start, Kate, with your best advice for somebody who's starting their personal brand journey.
Yeah, sure. I'd love to share some advice. And before I do, I just wanted to react to what you just said, where that personality where you're starting off as a learner. That's literally my story. Like, just like Andreas, I didn't set out to become a content creator or grow a following by any means. I didn't even know a following mattered on LinkedIn. What I started was just sharing my journey when I was learning what Tableau is, what is data visualization, what is data science. I sort of just posted that journey, and I would always end with a question like, do you have any tips for me? It was very much me trying to gain education and knowledge from my audience. And then over time, as I learned more, it sort of swapped into me trying to share more of that knowledge as I learn more. But to answer your question, John, advice for people who want to get started. First, I think everyone in the audience, I think it would be great if we all just share what platform you consume your social media content on and what platform you would like to produce on. I think a lot of times if we start producing content on the same platform where we consume content, it is a lot easier because we already know kind of the style, we know what people like, we know what we like. So creating similar content that we want to consume. So step one is really agreeing on where you want to start, because that's sort of going to be your house. You're going to live there for a while you're growing your personal brand. This doesn't mean you can't post on other platforms simultaneously, but I do think that you should start with one and just sort of grow that to at least at several 10,000 of followers before you start to branch out to other ones. And I don't want to take all of the how to get started, because I want to leave some for Andreas. So I'll just end with pick the platform, pick the personal, define the personal brand you want to be known for. Because just a quick side note, at first I told you that you can identify what your personal brand is by asking 10 people. But let's say all 10 people say, well, we all think of data storytelling when your name comes to mind. But let's say you don't want to be known for data storytelling. You want to be known as this really technical data architecture person. So you define the brand that you actually want to be known for, because just because people know you for this brand doesn't mean that has to be your thing forever. Just start talking about data architecture a lot more than you talk about data storytelling. So I'll leave it there and throw it over to Andreas to continue. Once they have their brand and they know their platform, what do they do next?
I look at this from the outside. I haven't started as the learner. From the learner perspective, I started from the expert perspective. And for me, it was more of, okay, what am I good at? And what do I want to push? Basically, what do I want to show people that I am capable of? And then talk about that. And I always worked on basically through helpful content. I always try to do educational content, and that worked out for me, because you do something and it's going to help 2-3 people, and that is already really a big win, and people are going to like that. And this way you grow, and also you learn then again through that, right? Because even though I started as an expert, there was a lot that I learned throughout the years. So yeah, but the platform, I think for me it was always kind of secondary, because I was interested in video, I was interested in posting, and so that's why I naturally went to YouTube and to LinkedIn. Yeah. But I think that is something to figure out. Okay, what am I good at, and start with that as a professional. That is a good way of doing it.
Yeah, it's a great place to start. How's the audio for you guys? Good? Okay, awesome. Yeah, I think my Bluetooth was picking it up. So one more question I want to have you guys answer. What are some things that people should avoid getting wrong when they're building a personal brand? Are there any common pitfalls you see people run into, or things that if you do, it's a big no-no?
Yes. Can I start? The biggest, this is a real big no-no. Thinking that it has to take you a week to write an article or a post. I think a lot of times when I ask people, so why aren't you posting? Because these are people who come to me and say, I want to grow my brand, I want to create content. And my answer is always so why aren't you doing it, right? And they always say, oh, I just don't have time. Oh, if you saw my schedule, I just don't have time. I call BS on that. I think we do all have time to do the things. It's just a matter of priorities. And I think the biggest no-no in creating content is assuming that you have to spend this, crazy number of hours of planning and drafting and perfecting the post, the poll, the image, the video, whatever it is you're doing. I think just keep it super simple. If it's taking you more than 10 to 20 minutes, then you're probably not talking about the thing you actually care about. You're probably not talking about something you're interested in. You maybe just don't know the thing you're talking about, and you're stressing out because you're trying to put on this perception of you that is not accurate. So as long as you're staying true to yourself, it's as easy as talking to someone else. John, if you ask me a question so what did you do? What was your first job, right? And I just told you about my first job. There's no hesitation. There's no how should I put this? It was this job. No, it was this. No, just tell your actual story, and it's so much easier. So that's my,
Yeah, if it feels hard, you're probably not on the right track. You're probably talking about the wrong topics. Yeah, that's awesome. What do you think, Andreas? Any big pitfalls?
I think that one of the biggest pitfalls is actually when you do that, looking at other people and comparing yourself to other people. And that is one of the big things. Like, let's say you want to create short explainer videos on YouTube or explainer videos on YouTube. And then you'll look at videos from people that are out there and doing this for 10 years, right? And they're doing 45-minute long videos in every detail. And then you look at it and you get disappointed and you say, I'm never going to make this. Okay, I'm not going to do it. So just start small, do these 2 or 3 minute, and then like one of my first videos that I've done was a 5-minute introduction to 5-minute hands-on to Kafka, Apache Kafka. That was one of the first things I've done. Had thousands of views because like it was a very short thing. I didn't compare to anybody else. I just did it and posted it.
I love it.
I think that is super important to not get too much into what other people are doing.
Yeah, and people don't, they already see what the other people are doing. You don't want to just add more of that. So yeah, I love, being you and letting your own experience and skills drive. That's great. Good question from the audience, from Ishan. I know we talk about LinkedIn certainly as a big one. Are there any other platforms you guys would recommend? Or if not, if like LinkedIn should be the focus, why? Curious to hear your takes on that.
Yeah, I mean, if I just quickly chime in, LinkedIn has been great for me. So has YouTube. And I think that's just because that's where the data professionals sort of live and engage the most. Yeah. I like LinkedIn personally because people tend to use their real names and their real jobs and their real job titles. And you sort of have a sense of exactly who you're talking to, especially now with the verification where you can really see if it's a real person. Whereas I know there are other professionals that post on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook, and they do have an audience. I think it's just a preference. I don't really consume content on those platforms, so I don't produce as much. I still have a presence like on Twitter, sort of very limited presence. But I would say LinkedIn, YouTube for, the long form or even the short form video, because it's very evergreen. It's searchable. Yeah. My content from, 6-7 years ago is still going strong. I have some intro to Tableau videos that are still doing really well, even 7 years later. But then for articles, I would say Medium and Substack are also pretty good if you're into long form writing. So decide sort of the type of content you enjoy creating. If it's just video, then maybe YouTube is the best place. If it's just pictures, it's Instagram. If it's a mix of everything, then, LinkedIn is the right place because you can do anything on LinkedIn.
Yeah, that's a great take. What do you think, Andreas?
I think especially now we're talking in a personal brand topic, in a work environment. I think for that, LinkedIn is the central place to go. Yeah. Like Kate said, you can see who is doing what. They are very professional. It's generally a nice environment. I think it's the most polite environment.
Very friendly. Yeah.
Very friendly, because some people are afraid of posting there than stupid stuff, which is good. For me is LinkedIn, YouTube. Like Kate said, YouTube is, as people consume a lot of content there, content is going to live there. YouTube is I think it's still actually the second biggest search engine after actually Google. So if people search for stuff, they're going to find your things. For me, I like Instagram and TikTok. I don't know. In our setup, in our environment, I'm always thinking in the term of, because I have these education classes on, and basically getting people jobs. Where are the recruiters going to be? Where are potential employers going to be? They're most likely on LinkedIn, and so that would be the first platform I also would start.
Yeah, I think like if you think about the hiring process, it's almost impossible that you'll get hired without the hiring manager having looked at your LinkedIn profile, right? Just as like a quick check, sure. Right? So I think for that reason alone, you have to pass that check. If you want to work as a data engineer or a data analyst, you have to look like that when the hiring manager checks you out, and and obviously all the amazing networking and the more proactive stuff, but think of that as like playing defense and being able to get through a hiring process. And then I like that you guys both, you've talked about Andreas, how you've done YouTube, and Kate, same thing, One thing about the longer form video that's really, I think is really powerful is, I can see somebody on a resume say that they're good at a certain thing, but like actually seeing them walk through a project is a whole other level. So that could be maybe number 2, in my opinion, would be like getting some videos of your own projects up to really show your skills in a real way.
Yeah, especially, companies keep saying that they're focusing on the soft skills, which you can't really demonstrate in a GitHub account or a Tableau public profile. Putting yourself on camera for even 5 to 10 minutes to explain a project you worked on or, problem you solved, they can see how well you communicate, how well you explain, and how personable you are. I think it doesn't come through on paper. So you're right, having that, it's sort of a package deal. And I guess one of the first steps when we were talking about starting that personal brand, also focusing on making sure your profile is up to date, cleaned up, you're saying there what you want to say, you're putting out the personal brand that you want to be known for versus what you might already be known for. It doesn't take that long, but I think it has to be very intentional for you to sit down, like fill out every section that's relevant. And, I know ChatGPT is there to help, but make sure you put it in your own words and tell your own personal story.
It's also, you don't, like on YouTube, you don't need to have 100 videos. Like, create 3, 4. And the cool thing is, it doesn't have to be a live stream like we do. It's a pre-recorded video. You can, if you mess up, like I did in the introduction, you just like cut it out and then do it again. And,
the beauty of editing is your project will look great,
Yeah, but as Kate said, people are going to see you. They're going to like get a feeling.
I feel like they know you, right?
Yeah,
once you've watched videos of some people I've seen on camera and we talked on Zoom or whatever, I feel like I've met them before when I've, like Andreas, I feel like I know you because we talk all the time. We've never actually met, which is so crazy.
It's true.
Yeah.
So that's very powerful.
That's awesome. Well, we've flown through this first half hour. I can't believe it's been that quick. Are you guys good to go into the hot seat and answer some audience questions?
I could do this all day, John. Let's do it.
Awesome.
Hey there, hope you're enjoying the video. Sorry to interrupt, we'll get you right back to it. Right now, Maven Analytics is offering a deal that was just too big not to share it with you. We've got an early Black Friday sale, and you can save up to 50% off of Maven Analytics paid plans. So if you've been considering learning Excel, SQL, Power BI, Python, Tableau, and everything else that you need to become a data analyst or accelerate your career, now is the perfect time. Check it out at mavenanalytics.io. You can see the Black Friday offer in the banner at the top of the screen. You can't miss it. Again, if you're on the fence, there's never been a better time. We don't do a lot of these sales, so I hope that some people will take advantage. Now, enjoy the video. I'll let you get back to it. Thanks.
So this one, very applicable to data pros. How can introverts effectively share their work and insights without feeling overwhelmed? So, if you're somebody who wants to kind of live in the spreadsheet or the database, now we're saying go out into the world, which is like the scariest thing for that person. Any advice for that person?
I have advice that I think would help not only introverts, but also people who have never posted before and sort of have this adverse reaction to putting themselves out there. And I think the answer here lies in the comments. So adding comments, just like whoever asked that question, you weren't scared to type in that question, right? You felt comfortable enough to do this. People are sharing content every day that could be relevant to the personal brand that you're building. So I think consume the content and then add a really thoughtful comment about your own thoughts, your own perspectives. It's sort of getting your feet wet. Your name will still start to be recognized by the original posters, by other people who are commenting, by those who are seeing your name and face next to, every piece of content that's relevant. And it's easy enough where you're not really just putting yourself out there too much, but you're still sharing your perspective. So set a goal to comment on 5 posts per day, Monday through Friday as a beginner. And over time, you're going to start to realize that you do have so much to say that it might lead you to start sharing your own perspectives. It's sort of like a slow start for people who are just not ready to come out there and put themselves on a live video or something.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Awesome answer.
I would also say for introverts, like find additional to doing this, find the right medium. Like find a medium. I consider myself, as anybody who has seen me at a conference or at a meetup, like I'm an introvert in these situations. Like I'm not very outgoing, but on mediums like this or other things where I feel comfortable, I can actually be a lot more. What's the right word? Outgoing? I don't know what the right word. I think you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So find the right medium. If maybe just a simple post, is it just posting without you actually being in the image, without doing thumbnails where you and so on. Just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just be just try a few things, and the ones that you feel comfortable and where you actually then feel like, okay, I'm pressing publish. That's most likely the right medium.
And I definitely personally felt like that. And I noticed diminishing scariness over time. You know, like the first one was by far the like, oh my gosh, am I really doing this? I'm posting, people are going to laugh at me, whatever. And then by like the third one, it's just like, you know, people have been very nice and they're saying, thank you for teaching me this concept and stuff like that. So it's diminishing scariness is very fast. It's a fast curve. So,
yeah, I think it starts with the fear of, oh my God, someone's going to see this. And it ends in the fear of, okay, is anyone going to look at this already? Come on.
Yeah.
Then you're waiting for more viewers. So.
Yep. So here's another good one that either folks, I'm guessing in the audience have either experienced or they might experience as they're getting started. How do you stay motivated and consistently create content if you feel like you're not getting a lot of engagement at the beginning? Did either of you guys encounter that?
I think that depends on your goals, right? Mm-hmm. If we're talking about personal brand, so if you want to create the personal brand, not for getting a large audience, for becoming an influencer, for connecting to a lot of people, but being attractive to potential future companies, who cares if you don't get a lot of engagement? You want to show what you can do. You want to show your professional skills. So be it. Like don't stress too much about it.
Yeah, I think having the right goals, the right motivators behind the actual content creation and posting is definitely strong. And also thinking of it as a person, physical fitness, right? If you do 1,000 push-ups today, but then nothing for the rest of the year, well, you're not going to see results. So the results will come by constantly showing up. And by constantly, I will define this, I would say 3 to 5 times a week, get something out there into the social media platform of your choice, right? Post once every 3 days or every 2 days. And yeah, you're not going to see much in the beginning. It's going to be very much like screaming your best thoughts into an empty room where you're like, but I put so much effort. Again, a reason for why you shouldn't put that much effort and thought into it. Obviously put thought into it, make sure it's valuable to the audience you're trying to reach, but don't overthink it, because those first maybe 100 pieces of content might not go anywhere, but one of them actually might resonate really well and, as they say, go viral. But that shouldn't be the reason behind the content creation. The reason should be greater than that. And I think thinking very much long term. It took, Andreas and I don't know how many years to break the 100K or whatever followers on LinkedIn. Yes, people have done it faster and some people have done it slower, and some people will never do it because that's not what they intend to do. But I think just keep showing up, and good things will come. I promise. Like within, I would say, months of you doing consistent work, you will see some sort of at least new relationships, new friendships that you build in that same space. If not, those job opportunities or speaking opportunities or book deals, whatever it is that you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, and I think having that expectation that it's not going to be like a runaway success on day one is pretty important, because I don't think that happens to anybody, and if you think that, you're going to get frustrated. But if you realize, like you said, like being in the gym, you have to build those muscles, and a month from now, you'll be better than you are today. And if you keep paying attention to what is working, you will get better. Like my experience, I started doing this basically when I joined Maven, and we were trying to get Maven off the ground, and we thought LinkedIn was a good place. And I'll tell you, it was not going very well for like probably the first 6 months, but we kept at it and eventually kind of figured out what we got little hints of like, oh, we did this thing and it was working, and you start to learn and you get better. And so just, yeah, you're probably going to get kind of kicked in the face a little bit, but again, like it's a very small scale. Nobody knows that the failures are happening, so don't feel bad about it.
But also about the consistency topic itself. Like, it always sounds like this is not a problem for us. We can consistently every day push out content and create the biggest things. Like, for me, like I see posting like an artist. Someday you don't know what to post. But on other days, the muse kisses you, and then you have a few ideas. Then you write these few ideas down, and then you're going to share them later. So people have to realize that this is not like that it works. Like,
and it shouldn't be, right? It shouldn't be robotic. That's where we're trying to avoid that kind of content where every day at Monday at 10 a.m. and Tuesday at 10 a.m. you see a piece of content. I know you can automate all this stuff now. I would recommend everyone do not do that. Do not automate it. Do not become robotic. If you've got an idea at 9:33 p.m. on a Sunday and it's a good idea, just freaking post it. Like, there's no need to wait for a Tuesday 10 a.m. when everyone else is going to be posting, because you know that's the ultimate, the best time, the optimal time. No, there is no optimal time. If the content is good and you have, even 10 followers or 100, then it's going to do well. It's just a matter of just getting it out there. I know, Andreas, some people do have that schedule, I guess, like post it later. What's worked for me really well is just posting it right now. If I've got the idea, and it sort of keeps it more real and sort of in the moment, and maybe later you'll decide, oh, maybe this is not a good idea. For people who question themselves and sort of start to second guess and have that imposter syndrome, they'll start to say, maybe this is not the best. But once it comes to mind, post it. And I would say forget about it, but actually don't forget about it. After you post, you have to stay online and sort of get engaged with any comments that come through. But yeah, I don't want to spend too much time on this question in case there's more.
Yeah. I would just, one thing I want to add, like, I'm using a schedule. I'm not always posting just when I want. But the interesting part is, a lot of the really, really interesting and good ones where people reacted a lot, there was the ones where I just, like, on a Sunday morning, I had an idea, like, oh, let's just send it out.
Yeah, and it could be a little bit of both, right? You could have some that are scheduled and some that are just sporadic. So exactly. You can use both.
Awesome. This is a good one from Megan. So you guys have given some great advice for somebody who's starting to build a personal brand. How would that change if the person is switching from a totally different industry? I think sometimes people are nervous, like, I'm coming from a sales background and I want a data job. People are going to view me as a salesperson and they'll eliminate me from consideration. Like, what advice, if any, would you give to a person in that situation?
I mean, I personally have done that. I used to work in financial services, risk management, regulatory compliance for like 10 years. And I made a complete shift into data analytics. And it was actually very intentional. When I was going through this career shift about 10 years ago, I just started talking about the new thing. And I think the more you talk about the new thing, the new industry that you're going into, the new brand that you're trying to rebuild, I still have some of those connections, from financial services and risk management in my feed and in my followers, which is fine. But now they know me as the data person. So I think the more you talk about the new thing, the more the older one will sort of fade into the background. But it is very much a process. I don't suggest you just, delete your account and start fresh. I think just keep going with the person that you are and just keep talking about the new thing.
Yeah. Also, these, like, we need to look at this. I'm not sure what this person specifically meant, because there are basically two things that you can change: the role and the industry, right? So you can still be a data engineer, but you're working in a different industry, not in financials, but in, I don't know, something with cars or whatever. So that is something where you can still, for instance, with data engineering, you could still be the data engineer, but then share this experience of moving into a different industry. Mm-hmm. Or if you, hopefully, like, that's when you want to change jobs, changing both is always difficult anyways. But, like, let's say you're changing the role, but you're staying in the same industry, then you we can make a journey out of it, right?
Yeah, and you can
Cool, I'm
lean on
doing
that.
something new.
That domain experience, like a lot of times folks, so we've had pretty recently, we had a student she was in marketing and she wanted to be in data. So she didn't target broadly data analyst jobs. She targeted marketing analyst jobs because she knew about marketing and channel optimization and things like that from the marketer perspective. So she had a leg up on other more generic data folks. So like that domain experience can be really helpful. I love that. Awesome. How about we're at time, but I'd love to get one more question. So Mohammed says, what actionable steps would you recommend for somebody just starting out? And I'd say to make it like really pointed, if maybe each one of you could give like one step that somebody could take like before tomorrow that would potentially get them moving and making a difference, what would you recommend?
I have one, Andreas. Do you mind if I?
Yeah,
Okay.
let's go.
Okay, so John, you have many great sessions in your open campus today, right? And I encourage everyone in the audience, like literally hold yourself accountable to this. If you've posted every day for the past 5 years, or if you've never posted before, is pick a session that really spoke to you, jot down one thing you learned, share it on LinkedIn. Let's just pick the platform for you. You're going to use LinkedIn. You're going to share it on LinkedIn. And you're going to tag the speaker or speakers who you were inspired by, who you learned something from. You're going to share their learning. So you're not really even sharing your perspective. It's even easier. Just say, John said this and it resonated with me because blah, blah, blah. Tag them and post it. You can include a picture of yourself watching it. You can include a picture of the screen. You can include no picture. Make it a poll if you want, but post it today. That's it. That's my advice.
I love it. And we like that as the speakers. We like people spreading the word about this. We're doing this because we want to reach a lot of people. So we're not offended by that. We like it. We'll probably engage if we're not on another live session with somebody else. But yeah, that's an awesome one, Kate. Andreas, what do you think?
I agree. One thing, select one thing that you have learned and post about it, or one thing that you're good at and teach that to someone. Like, I don't know which technology, which tool, which skill, doesn't matter. One thing that you're already good at, and if it's leadership, team lead, right? Pick one, take one topic out of this, and then share this as an educational piece of content. Don't make it big. Stay below 500 words.
I love it.
Put it out there.
Awesome. So you guys have two things that you can do today. I think those are both really good pieces of advice. Hope you'll take action. Kate, Andreas, thank you guys so much. This has been really, really good for the audience. Guys in the chat, please give them some love.
Thank you so much, John. It really was a lot of fun. So thanks.
Yeah. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Hey there, I hope you enjoyed this video. This was part of our open campus event where we ran 24 sessions in front of a live audience over the course of 2 weeks. It was a ton of fun. We did all these live sessions and we opened up our entire learning platform for free. You did not need a paid account to take advantage of all the courses. So folks could learn Excel, SQL, Power BI, Tableau, Python, etc. All the stuff that you need to learn data analysis skills and take your career to the next level. If you missed it this year, keep an eye out. We'll definitely be doing this again next year, probably again in October. We would love to see you there. And the last thing that I'll leave you with, if you're looking to take your skills to the next level right now and you've been on the fence about a Maven Analytics paid plan, we are currently running our early Black Friday sale. This is the absolute best time to pay for Maven Analytics if you want to, so don't miss out. You'll have the opportunity to save up to 50% on paid plans, which is a pretty great opportunity. You can check out all the details at mavenanalytics.io. Just look for the early Black Friday banner at the top of the site. You can't miss it. Hope that we'll see some of you there as well. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching.